Tonight, the legacy of Dame Deborah James.
I cannot thank you enough for your continued support of the Bowel Babe Fund. You are awesome.
More than £11 million has been raised in memory of the bowel cancer campaigner, with vital funds for research in the capital.
This research funded now by the Bowel Babe Fund is to really understand how cancers work, but that is a key step to designing new treatments in the future.
Also on the programme, another smart motorway death, the pensioner who could have been saved if there had been a hard shoulder. Exploring the secrets of a seafaring treasure nestled beside the Thames, and
ahead of the Easter weekend, I'm down on the farm with my gorgeous little cute horny sheep friends. They are so hungry. We'll be back in a bit with more cuddles and the weather, won't we?
Good evening. A fervent campaigner for bowel cancer, a mother and a much-loved personality. It's now 9 months since Dame Deborah James passed away, but her work lives on. Today, the Bowel Babe Cancer Research Fund announced it's raised £11.3 million and counting, and it's London hospitals leading the way to find a cure. It's also released a never-seen-before video Deborah made before she died, in which she thanks her fans. Here's Rags Martell.
Hello, I'm Deborah James, otherwise known as a Bowel Babe.
Her final message, recorded in her dying days.
One thing that I wanted to do before I passed away was to set up the Bowel Babe Fund to help more and more people live longer with cancer.
This video released to mark the £11 million her charity has raised. And beyond the grave, she talks of her gratitude.
Every penny counts. I cannot thank you enough for your continued support of the Bowel Babe Fund. You are awesome.
Reacting to the amount raised, Deborah James's mother, Heather, spoke to ITV this morning.
She set a target of 250,000, and I think within a day it hit 1 million, and she was just overwhelmed, as we all were. And I just wish she was here to see it was 11.3 million, but we're not going to stop there.
Posting videos of her treatment, Deborah James helped inspire her followers and helped raise millions for her charity. Her humour challenged taboos and spread awareness of bowel cancer right up to the end. She was even made a dame for her work a month before her death and visited by Prince William while she was receiving end-of-life care. And the money she raised is already helping at the Institute of Cancer Research in London.
Well, I think the key to any new treatment is to really be able to understand how the cancer's working, and then we can look to design treatments to target exactly how the cancer is working. And so this research funded now by the Bowel Babe Fund is to really understand how cancers work, but that is a key step to designing new treatments in the future.
She's not here anymore, but she's such in our lives so much in everything she's left behind that I will keep campaigning, and if we can do that for Deborah's legacy, that's great. But grieving wise, I think it's more hard now. Reality's set in, it's sad. You get numb when it first happens, then you go through, is this real? Now it's hit the stage, this is real.
I have the poo cancer.
Dame Deborah first spoke publicly about her cancer on her podcast. These were her words in her final episode.
We'll see each other again, somewhere, somehow, dancing. And until then, please, please, just enjoy life, because it is so precious. I can't tell you, all I want right now is more time and more life. And also check your poo.
The words and advice there of Dame Deborah James. Nigella Lawson has thanked her fans for their kind messages after the death of her father this week. Nigel Lawson was one of the country's defining chancellors, cutting taxes and privatising industries during the Thatcher years. Reigniting the debate surrounding smart motorways, a coroner has concluded a crash which killed 2 pensioners would not have happened if there had been a hard shoulder. Derek Jacobs from Edgware was hit by a car 3 years ago after pulling over because of a blown tyre. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has been following the story.
Sally Jacobs has always been convinced her husband Derek was a victim of smart motorways. Today, an inquest into his death seemed to agree. 4 years ago, Derek was driving from his home at Edgware in North London when his van blew a tyre. But it happened on a section of the M1 in Derbyshire without a hard shoulder, a so-called smart motorway. He was standing next to the van when a car driven by Jean Scripps crashed into him, killing Derek and Mrs Scripps' husband, who was a passenger.
Mrs Scripps wouldn't have been in that lane had there been a hard shoulder. First I felt anger towards her, but now I've nothing but compassion for her. She's not only killed my husband, she's killed her own, and she would not have been in that lane.
The Assistant Coroner, Susan Evans, appeared to agree, saying it is immediately apparent that, had there been a hard shoulder, this incident would not have occurred because Mr Jacobs would have been able to pull off the live lane entirely. But anti-smart motorway campaigners were unhappy that the coroner declined to make any safety recommendations.
This is the 3rd inquest for a total of 5 deaths in a very short area of motorway, and it doesn't attach any blame. But all the way through, it was asked, would this have happened if there'd been a hard shoulder? And the answer was time and time again, no. So how did it come to the conclusion it did come to?
Tens of thousands of drivers use smart motorways every day. They include most of the M25, the M1 in Hertfordshire, the M4 in Berkshire, M3 and M23 in Surrey. Highway bosses point to data which they claim proves smart motorways are Britain's safest roads.
I'd never want another family to suffer in this way. Like 98 other people have suffered as well. I'm not the only one suffering, you know, and it will go on and on and on. And really now the government need to step in and do something, don't they, and stop it.
Nick Harris, the Chief Executive of National Highways, issued a statement offering his sympathies to all those affected by the tragedy and said it is vitally important to learn lessons from every road traffic collision, and we will continue to build on the work and safety improvements already underway, taking all the necessary steps to help drivers and passengers feel and be safe. Sally Jacobs says she will continue campaigning for smart motorways to be scrapped. Simon Harris, ITV News.
The YouTuber KSI says that he is genuinely ashamed and deeply sorry in a video addressing his use of a racial slur against people of Pakistani origin. The 29-year-old says he's been educating himself by meeting with members of the South Asian community after visiting a mosque earlier this week. And a Unite Union survey has found 1 in 3 security officers at Heathrow are planning to leave their jobs in the next 6 months. Currently, airport security staff are on strike in a dispute over pay. Next tonight, special events are taking place in the capital as part of this year's Windrush 75th anniversary celebrations. The Windrush generation were those who arrived in the UK on the Empire Windrush after the Second World War. Now, one of our boroughs has become a hub for British Caribbean people, as Catho Patter explains.
75 years ago, migrants from African and Caribbean countries boarded these boats and set sail to Britain. They came with their bags, children and culture, and made a new life for themselves in places like this London borough. When it comes to showcasing the history of Windrush, there's no better place than Lewisham. And that's because most of the people that live here are either black British or Caribbean. A lot of them have stories about how their parents and grandparents travelled to live in a brand new country. Some of those stories are rather painful. Others are quite fond and happy.
This is a place where my mother would shop all the time, that fed our family.
Eve Wright lives and grew up here. As a child of the Windrush generation, his past is more than just a memory, but also an inspiration for his art.
A lot of young people, they don't know about their history. They don't know about, they're 2-3 generations removed from their history. So when I discovered the Kissy Penny and discovered my own personal journey, discovering where I came from as a Caribbean, as a Jamaican, and as a proud black British citizen, that was part of my journey, and I wanted to showcase that okay, you know, go back and have a look at where you can, you know, how you began.
Because when my father came here, his back would be sore.
Richard's parents came here in search of a better life. Standing tall on their shoulders, he now runs his own feed business here in Lewisham.
It fills me with pride because, you know, I remember carrying a sack of rice into one of my shops. And they said, oh, boss, you know, why are you doing this, that? And I said, look, it's a pleasure to carry my load.
And Kath, we will be hearing more about the Windrush generation tomorrow, won't we?
Yes, and we all know about the scandal where you had people like Eve and Richard's parents who came here as part of the Commonwealth and they were treated as illegal immigrants. And tomorrow there's going to be a vigil in Brixton, which it's aimed at offering comfort to those who are still suffering the effects of the said Windrush scandal. OK, that's tomorrow. Thank you, Kath. Stay with us. There is more to come, including... Sally, what are you bringing us tonight, apart from the weather, of course?
Well, I mean, everyone loves a good scratch, don't they, Duncan? I'm scratching, loving, hugging these gorgeous rare breed sheep. We're going to be talking more about them and telling you what it's going to be like on the Easter weekend very soon. But first, the families of hostages held in Iran, Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe and Anousheh Ashuri, were let down. That's the finding of a report into the government's handling of hostage cases, which was commissioned after the pair were eventually returned to London. Today, their loved ones said families like theirs need to be more involved and better informed right from the start. They've been speaking to Helen Keenan.
They described it as being in a state of euphoria. Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe being held by her daughter on the left and the relief from Anousheh Ashuri's family on the right. Reunited with their loved ones, held hostage in Iran for so long, and their release sparking an inquiry into the government's approach to state hostage situations, which has found the UK government is failing British citizens.
What was your first reaction to the report?
Yeah, no, it was a much stronger report than I was expecting. And actually, I wrote...
The report mentions her husband Richard's hunger strike, the debt to Iran and comments made by former Prime Minister Boris Johnson when he was Foreign Secretary, which did not help her case.
Do you think that the UK government is failing its citizens?
Yeah, no, I think for sure it's failing its citizens and has an approach where it actively suppresses those cases. And I think that is borderline cynical. In how it deals with, you know, what are very vulnerable people. One of the things that the committee talked about with the minister was that, you know, we should be calling these people victims. They are victims of a crime here. And there's a real reluctance on the government to acknowledge that, you know, the British citizens involved are victims because, of course, then they have to point the finger at who are the criminals here.
So do you think this report might mean a change then for hostages to be considered victims? And the care they should receive? I
think we hold our breath, if I'm honest. I think it's a good report. We'll wait to see the government's response. You know, after 6 years of campaigning in this space, the government can be quite resistant to learning lessons sometimes.
Anoush smuggled these flowers out of the Iranian prison for his daughter, pressed and hung on her wall at home in Dartford, where today she looked through the hostage report, which criticised the government's record on communicating with the families of detainees and condemned the inconsistency of approach within the Foreign Office. She thinks there should be an official government advocate for hostages and aftercare for when they are released.
We also felt very unimportant and insignificant because we were told that my dad had to prove his Britishness. The way that it's going now and the way that things are communicated with the families is not right. And the families deserve more, and the respect that needs to be given to their case, the attention that needs to be given to these cases must really be elevated to another level.
The Foreign Office said consular officials were available 24/7 for families to receive tailored support, and ministers were fully involved in complex cases. The report calls for families to be treated as partners who have the potential to be instrumental in attempts to resolve the detentions. Helen Keenan, ITV News.
Olympic diver Tom Daley has announced the birth of his second child with his husband Dustin Lance Black. The Southwark-based champion shared the surprise news on social media this morning. They have named their new son, born by surrogate, Phoenix Rose. And Stormzy has been nominated for the Freedom of Croydon. A spokesperson for Croydon Council confirmed the grime artist had been nominated along with Mara Louise Smith, known locally as Mama, a 110-year-old great-great-grandmother. On to the weather, and Sally is on a farm now on the Isle of Dogs, or maybe that should be Isle of Sheep, judging by your friends there, Sally.
Hi, Duncan. Oh, look at them. They're just absolutely gorgeous, aren't they? They are incredibly rare, these ones. Very horny. They've got, all of them seem to have horns, and they've come from all over. So I don't know if you can see them. This little one here, this is Tom the farmer, by the way. This little one here, this white one, is called, oh, do you know, I've forgotten its name already. What is it?
It's a white-faced woodland.
The white-faced woodland. And then this beautiful fluffy one here, it looks like a bunny rabbit, and that's called an Oxford Down. And then the black ones, where have the black ones gone, Tom? Oh, there's a black one. Here, look. That's called a Norfolk Horn.
Yep.
There we go, I got there in the end. They're so lovely. Tom, how rare are these sheep?
Well, most of these sheep breeds in here don't number anything sort of over 2,500,
Right.
3,000 animals or breeding females in the UK. So that makes them numerically rarer than the giant panda. And here at Mudshoot, we're London's only rare breeds approved conservation centre, so we're all about conserving breeds of the past for generations of the future.
Oh, well, that's a good line, isn't it? For the past, for the future. And I find that incredible that they're rarer than the panda. I mean, one of the wonderful things that you do with these guys, and I've actually seen them in action, is that they are the daughters and granddaughters of the sheep that go up to Green Park and graze. Why do you do that?
Well, the whole thing is you know, we're looking after some very old wildflower meadows, and one of the best ways to manage old pasture is to graze it with old native breeds. So not only does it promote the biodiversity within the plants, but also within the invertebrates, so therefore making it a better, more varied habitat for the wildlife.
That's so lovely. And just briefly, obviously it's Easter weekend coming up, and some people like to eat the lambs, not these ones. How does that sit with you as someone who loves conservation?
Well, I'm a livestock farmer, and one of the things that we have to make sure that we do is support British agriculture, no matter what our gastronomic persuasion is. So it's just about eating less meat, but of a better quality, but most importantly, making sure that what we eat is seasonal and locally produced.
OK, all right. Well, listen, thank you so much, Tom. You're obviously an excellent farmer. Oh, look at you. They're slightly scared of me. Can't think why. It must be something to do with my volume. Follow me around here, because we're just going to come out, but look. Oh, look, you see they're running away. No, sorry, won't hurt you, won't go near you. We're going to come out here. I've got to make sure that this is shut so that no one escapes. Apparently they absolutely love escaping. I'm just going to take you over here. Look at these beautiful girls here. Hi, girls. Hello, it's only me, don't worry. Everyone's backing off me. I think it's the volume. Anyway, they are about to give birth anytime soon. And I just want to show you this beautiful pig. Do you remember anyone who's been heavily pregnant ever feeling like that? I mean, just totally wiped out. She's about to give birth. She could have even have given birth on air, but, you know, she's got her privacy. We can't stay to watch that, but we can stay here to do the weather, so I'm going to go head back into the sheep, and I'll see you in a sec.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Well, these sheep aren't the only thing looking gorgeous today. Look at St Paul's here with the beautiful blossom. And how's this for a fabulous London sunrise? Not looking quite so fabulous tonight with cloud and rain. As we move into tomorrow, some sunshine around, but also some showers, and there might even be some fairly slow-moving thunderstorms. And then as we head into Friday, generally dry, apart from the odd shower, and some sunny spells as well. So let's take a look at the pressure chart, and you can see that as we go into Friday, we have high pressure starting to build again. That's that calming influence. And as I said, there might be a shower here or there Friday, and Saturday probably more likely to see one in the east. As we go to Monday, we're just watching that rain out to the west, but it's very uncertain at the moment, so just keep an eye on the forecast. All right, let's go back to tonight. So rain moving across from west to east. We're not expecting the rain to be too heavy, but it is quite slow moving, and it tends to clear off by the end of the night. There might still be some in the east. So tomorrow morning a bit cloudy and a bit grey, but not too chilly to start
off with. As we go through tomorrow, that cloud will just start to break up a bit and we'll get some sunshine, but also watch out for those showers. Hit and miss, thunderstorms potentially too, quite blustery as they come through. And in the sunshine, it'll feel quite good, 13 to 15 are the highs, but not quite so nice out of it. As we hit the evening, watch out if you're heading out, still a few showers in the mix. And again, some of them might be a little bit heavy. So let's take a look at the outlook. Looking all right for Friday, generally dry, some sunshine from time to time, a similar story really through Saturday and Sunday, maybe a splash of rain here or there. Look, the temperatures being a bit milder too. From us all here, the gorgeous sheep at Mud Sheep Farm. We'll see you later.
ITV London Weekday Weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
Sally and friends, thank you very much. Finally tonight, it is one of the most striking sights along the Thames. Nestled in a dock near London Bridge, a ship made of oak, elm and pine. The Golden Hind is actually a replica of the ship explorer Sir Francis Drake captained around the globe in the 16th century. Nevertheless, this replica still has 50 years of heritage under its sails. Well worth celebrating then. Here's Neil Adami.
Haul away, you rolling king. Heave away, haul away.
Songs by sailors at sea.
Sing, we're bound for South Australia.
All aboard a replica ship that had explorer Sir Francis Drake at the helm.
So the ship is a full-scale replica of the original Golden Hind that first circumnavigated the globe for the Kingdom of England. And I think the misconception is that this replica isn't a working ship, but in fact it is. It's done over 100,000 nautical miles on the sea. And was celebrating its 50th year since the keel was laid back in 1971.
Drake became the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe 500 years ago, earning him a knighthood under Queen Elizabeth I, but the title pirate from the Spaniards.
And it shows the conditions, it highlights the class differences, it also sort of highlights some of the points that were happening in the wider world at that point in time. This conquest of the Spanish Empire, colonialism, the slave trade, unfortunately, all of these points that we still contend with today.
Cannons, doctor's items and a chance to lie on Drake's bunk recreate the concept of voyages for families.
It's very realistic. It was like all made of wood and like the ceiling was so low.
Really authentic.
Where's the captain?
They're missing.
Captain's missing? Well, I tracked down Roddy in the captain's room. He's taken this ship around the UK, America and Asia, and though it's now docked in London Bridge, he's still steering its direction.
Living in a dock in London in virtually fresh water is not a great environment. So we're just carrying out some serious refurbishment, but the ship will be good for another 50 years, maybe even longer. And with modern techniques and regular maintenance, we can make sure that future generations can enjoy it.
While visitors are enjoying the sword fighting in the front of the ship, what they can't see is this. Behind the scaffolding is what the new ship will look like when it's fully refurbished. There's a sound of hammering, the smell of fresh paint as the Golden Hind has found its home in London Bridge. While the saying goes, a ship's not meant for harbour, the history anchored in this vessel gives the opportunity to inform Londoners, perhaps for generations to come. Anil Adami, ITV News.
And that is it for now. Lucrezia has the evening news in a few minutes, and I'll be back with our late update for London tonight. Until then, I hope you have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.